Hello and welcome to the Trailblazer webinar, Rejuvenating the Spa Industry. And today we're going to be talking about implementing new standards of safety, design and space planning, as well as current and future trends in wellness. So my name's Eloise Hanson. I'm the editor at Boutique Hotel News. So we're an online multimedia news site for boutique, lifestyle and luxury hotels, and we're published by International Hospitality Media. And at IHM, we produce our own events too, and you'll hear more about the Urban Living Festival later on. So to give you an overview of how this webinar is going to run today, we're going to spend about 45 minutes in Trailblazers with some time at the end to take any questions from the audience. So if you do have any questions, please submit these using the Q&A function and I will get round to these at the end. And a gentle reminder that this session is being recorded and every single registrant will receive a copy of this recording within a couple of days' time. So this webinar has been sponsored by Cvent, which is a meetings and events technology provider, and the team has pulled together a short video which we're going to play for you now. So the link to Cvent's event has been posted in the chat, and on this slide here you can see all the speakers at the event and an overview of what's going to happen. So here's our Trailblazers today. This is who we're here to listen to, and I'm going to invite each to introduce themselves, and I'm just going to move from left to right as per the PowerPoint. So Alberto, I'm going to start with you, please.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Actually, my name is Alberto Apostoli. I'm an architect and designer. I'm based in Italy, but I work internationally since '97. So I manage a team of architects, interior designer, engineers, specializing in wellness architecture. Actually, my claim is we create wellness through architecture. So we like to decline the wellness concept in in a varieties of different typology. I mean, we designed spa, we design wellness destination resorts, we design, but sometimes some client ask us to design also offices, wellness oriented. It could be some houses. So our main scope is to decline the wellness concept, what is for me a great opportunity, and to spread this concept in the entire architecture world.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Alberto. And Susan, I'm coming to you next, please.
Right, but I am the hotels and wellness editor of the Times and Sunday Times, and I've been doing wellness for the papers for more than 20 years. And when I first started, I only got the gig because I worked with men and they'd rather, like pluck out their eye and feed it to a cat than have a massage and write about it because they wouldn't look macho. Actually, I'm really cynical about it too. And actually, at that stage, I had reason to be cynical because it really was a beauty salon that you paid a lot more for than you would on your high street. But in the last few years, I think the industry has really developed into something really meaningful, and also something that chimes a lot more with a lot more people as we become more aware of how important our health is. So that's one aspect of my work. But then in recent years, I think lots of hotels have talked to me about what they should be doing. And I've actually ended up doing consultancy as well, because they really like the journalistic, cynical, horrible, itchy way that we behave, and they want to know what we think consumers want. And also that's really informed and improved my writing, because I'm a lot more tolerant of some of the obstacles and some of the reasons why they don't move as quickly. So I think it gives me a really rounded view of the industry, why it may not be doing some of the things it should be doing, and sort of helping it move to where it should go from a consumer's point of view.
Thanks, Susan. And Lesley, I'm handing over to you next, please.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm Lesley. I work for Handpicked Hotels. Handpicked Hotels are a private collection of 19 beautiful countryside hotels, and we're in the UK and the Channel Islands. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. I've been with the company around 15 years now. Prior to that, my background was Homes Place. I was a regional manager for them, and before that I worked for Esporta Health Clubs. I was a European director, so I was based out in Barcelona. And before that, I used to work in resort hotels overseas with Mark Warner Holiday Resorts, and cut my teeth a very long time ago at Holiday Inn. So a lot of experience within the hotel industry, the fitness and wellness industry, and now hotels with spas and health clubs. So yeah, a real mixture.
Thanks, Lesley. And last but not least, Kent.
Thank you very much, and hello to everyone. And I'm the Corporate Operations Director of Successor Spas. We have over 20 hotels and resorts around the world, and over 30 spas as well. And my background has come from health and fitness as well, working for quite a few major health club groups around the world. And when I discovered that after about 20 years in health clubs, spa looked like it was all happening there. And I'm delighted to be looking after all of the spas that Successors have around the globe. We have a dynamic team, and wellness and sustainability have always been at the center of our brand. So I look forward to sharing ideas today.
Awesome, thank you. It's great to have you all here. So before we get started into the main discussion, I'm just going to highlight some stories that I have covered on Boutique Hotel News over the past year or so. And the first slide here is really to show how some hotels and spas are updating their offerings. So we've got a CBD spa experience, we've got Spa Vision helping to refurbish and reinvent the Fife Arms, but we have also Rockcliffe Hall, who's opening a new dedicated spa restaurant next month. And we also have in the bottom right-hand corner, Sensei Lanai, and I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, which has introduced a new wellbeing program in partnership with Whoop. And it's this story that I want to linger on, because I think it's really demonstrating just how technologically advanced spa experiences are becoming. So at this resort, which is in Hawaii, guests are given like a strap, like a Fitbit, which monitors key metrics like your sleep, your heart rate, your breathing. And then this is all analysed and evaluated throughout your stay with one-to-one sessions with a private guide. And we are going to be touching on the technological components within the spa later on. And on the next slide, we have a survey from Barclays Bank, and it was published in October 2020, which revealed that the annual revenue of hospitality and leisure firms could rise to £21.1 billion following investment in wellness offerings. Now, the report is called The Wellness Imperative, if anyone wants to look it up afterwards. It revealed that respondents would pay a premium of 6% for a healthier option on the menu. They would pay 6.3% more for a healthier short break, and 6.5% more for a specific resort or holiday experience. Now, according to the Global Wellness Institute, wellness tourism is expected to see an average annual growth of 7.5% through 2022. This is higher than the 6.4% expected growth for overall tourism. So simply based on these statistics, there really is a great opportunity to capitalize on the wellness trend, though one might argue that wellness and well-being is no longer a trend, it is very much here to stay. So without further ado, let's talk about rejuvenating the spa industry. And I'd like to kick off with a question to Kent, please. And I'd like to ask, could you please give us an overview of what operational changes you made at Six Senses and across all its spas?
Sure, Eloise. For Six Senses, you know, we knew that our guests always would expect us to be pioneering in wellness. And during the pandemic, and well, after the pandemic, if you could call it, it hasn't quite gone, but now, we've really looked at all of our operational procedures, etc. And sure, we have sharpened up, you know, where it was necessary. But like all major hotel brands, you know, we always did put hygiene and making sure that we were safe environments first anyway. But what we have found is it's become that much more important to move away from giving a guest a menu of treatments and services that you offer. And it's become that much more critical to find out what is your guest looking for. So what we found is consultations and, you know, doing a proper needs analysis with every guest that comes into the spa has been that much more important. We've always been against having a menu arrive, I mean, having a guest arrive and giving them a menu and asking what they would like from what we have to offer. But during the pandemic, we really worked on training and made our teams that much more confident in now finding out what is the guest looking for and how can we help take them further along that journey of wellness. Because they may have been comfortable beforehand having a detox massage or you know, any kind of treatment that they were used to having. But now they were more inquisitive because, you know, the one thing that COVID-19 did teach everyone is that if you had an underlying health condition, you couldn't just, you know, shove it to the back of your mind and live with it. It became a problem. So the way that we felt we could really help our guests is to have a consultation and to identify what was important to them and then plan their journey around that. So that was a key change in our operation. We thought of it before, we always wanted to do it before, but our guest was more inclined just to grab the menu. The second point that was key is also to make sure that every host, every staff member we have, and we call our staff host, but every host, it was very important to make sure that they felt multi-skilled, because we didn't want to have a receptionist and then, you know, introducing the guest to a therapist and then to an attendant, because, you know, we learned it was always good to rather have one person look after that guest from beginning to end. And it was about multi-skilling everybody, but also making sure that they were that much more confident in communicating and finding out what the guest wanted to achieve. So the key developments that we had during in our operation.
And these changes that you're making or have made, do you now consider this as like a permanent feature or a short-term fix?
No, definitely, you know, even before the situation occurred around the world, we wanted it to be that way. We wanted it to be organic when the guests came in, that they weren't locked into having a traditional spa experience that they may have had before. What the pandemic did is it made us hurry up and get with the program that we intended to have and to increase the training and to make sure that our guests really felt like we had listened. One thing that is particularly important amongst, you know, who you employ, your guests, your owners, your management, everybody, is to really active listen, you know, to listen to what everyone's expecting and looking for. Before we would, you know, go through certain points as to what we had in a treatment room, etc. But now we're asking, are you completely comfortable in the treatment room? Is there anything we can do to make you more comfortable? And just by having a lot more two-way conversation, we've really seen our guests appreciate it that much more. So we will definitely carry on.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Kent. And Lesley, how does this tally with your experience at Handpicked Hotels?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, like Kent says, I think definitely our industry, you know, hygiene standards, cleaning standards, they've always been there. They've always been at a very good level. But I think we pretty much had to review, I would say, every SOP. We had every standard operating procedure, and pretty much everything was tweaked. And that became space, I think, was something that we really looked at. Like, what space do we have? How can we create more space? Where can we go? We definitely reduced our numbers down. I think we wanted to be able to reassure our team as well as our guests what space we were giving them was very much their space. It was a journey in how we could, you know, I mean, we've been in and out of every tier. I think, you know, different countries might have had different things, but we work with England, Scotland, Jersey and Guernsey. So we had 4 different tiers of government guidelines to work with as well. And that can be quite confusing. So we try to really simplify our offering as well. Like Kent said, we reduced things down. We didn't make it so complicated. And very much like Kent says there, we made it more bespoke. I think that's something that definitely we tried to say, okay, we're going to give you some time here on our spa days, and we're going to listen to you, very, very detailed consultations. So we now do a consultation pre-arrival as well as on arrival. So we do some COVID screening prior to anybody coming in. But then we're very much about, right, what do you want out of this, rather than like just I'm going to massage and I'm going to get my nails done. It's very much tell us how you're feeling and let us make that. And I think the team have really embraced that by being able to, I think, really nurture that guest for those couple of hours. It's been, everybody's had a very different experience. Some people have been very lonely, some people have been very poorly, some people have lost people. So there's all of these different experiences that people have had over the last year and a half. And I think coming into our business, we wanted to make sure that we were listening to that, and also making sure our team were comfortable. We've reduced usage in the pool and the heat experiences as well, so that every area we have taken that number down. And some of that obviously has been guidance that we've had to do, but I think things like that, we definitely, some of this will definitely stay. I think it's the way our guests want, where the feedback's been very positive from both our team and our guests. And I think, like Ken says, you know, a lot of feedback we are taking, and we're listening and going, okay, what else can we do? How can we evolve this? What can we make it? You know, we're very lucky. Our hotels are in beautiful spaces. So how much more can we do outside? What else can we take? Obviously, the good old British weather doesn't mean that it's maybe quite as nice as some of your hotels in Asia, but you know, we definitely got bespoke areas outside that we can use more now. So that's really been, and you know, something that we've embraced as well.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've heard, particularly from hoteliers, say is when it comes to implementing new standards of safety and cleanliness and hygiene, that we've always had such a high rating for this in the first place. So, and Lesley, you mentioned it just a minute ago that spas have always been of a certain standard. So how did you then go about implementing these new safety standards? Were they just simply enhanced? Were they just amplified?
So one of the things we did do is we did a video to put on our website so our guests could see in advance what was expected of them, so that and I think that actually reassured our team as well, to say, look, we've asked the guests to do this on arrival. But also it reassured our guests that this is what we're doing for you. So it was a very much a two-way thing. And we did a whole journey through, you know, we've got spas, we've got swimming pools, we've got gyms. So it was a real on arrival so people, because I think people have been out, a lot of people haven't been anywhere for a year. So what's it like to come back? How do I go back into this? Oh, okay, there's going to be a screen at reception. Somebody might be wearing a mask, but there'll be a sanitization stand, because it's, you know, you've seen it in supermarkets, but actually what's that been like when you come back to a gym or a spa, and then, you know, show them into a treatment room? This is how it will look. And we've definitely taken government guidelines as the absolute paramount, and then that's obviously a minimum standard, and then we've said, what else do we want to do? How do we elevate this? What else do we feel that we should do? We're also, you know, looking at kind of what our teams want and what they're comfortable with. We don't want to make anybody do anything that they're not comfortable doing. And I think definitely having that video was a really easy way to communicate both to our teams and to our hotel guests what we were doing.
Mm-hmm. Kent?
Eloise, if I could add on, I think it's very important that everyone acknowledges as well that, you know, for a regular spa guest, they didn't want to come back into a clinical environment. They wanted to know that we had all taken precaution, but people wanted a break from, you know, all the COVID-19 stories and fears and problems. So, you know, to have additional signage everywhere for Successors was a no-no. To have people looking to clinical was a no-no. Through having a video like Lesley had, or by having QR codes that you could just, you know, zap and read about it in your own time, at least if anybody wanted to find out what you had done to make the environment a lot more secure for them, then they could find it out. But we were finding that most of our guests who came back were saying, oh, we're so grateful that you haven't changed everything, that you've taken precaution, like we do all wear a mask, but that we've come back into that warm spa, high touch environment, because we hadn't had it for over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a self-selecting thing, because, you know, people who are really risk averse are not going out. They're not booking spa breaks. You know, the people who in the supermarket react like you're an unclipped, you know, hand grenade if you go anywhere near them, they are booking holidays. So although people want to be, I think almost for spas, it's the reverse, that they're having to ask people to be a little bit more considerate to the staff rather than the guests are nervous. It's more that they're like, well, hey, we're back out again.
Back.
So, you know, I think it's more the other way, reminding them that, well, you know, the staff are here full time and you've got to be responsible back.
I think also people feel the spa is a safe environment to go to reconnect. I think that's something we've really found, is that when they want to reconnect with their girlfriends that they haven't seen for a while, their family members, to do something nice, to have an experience, that's something that definitely people feel quite comfortable to come. It's not super busy. They're not going to be in a very crowded space. And like you said, they're getting to relax. They can put it, you know, out of their mind for a little while.
Definitely.
I certainly can't wait until I'm in the spa, that's for sure. And Alberto, I'd like to come to you next, please, because Lesley mentioned that she first looked at her space and how she could create more space. So what new design and architectural elements are now being considered and maybe even incorporated into spas?
Yes, as Lesley said, probably we got three main themes. The first element is the new role of outdoor compared with the indoor. Absolutely. Now the future spa is not an indoor plus a small area outdoor. It's an integration between the two things. This means that we architects must redesign, rethink the relationship between outdoor and indoor. I would say that maybe I'm too rude, but we don't need more basement spa. But at the same time, we don't need penthouses spa. What we need is the relationship between the green and the indoor. It's a basic thing, but COVID, you know, push these things to the maximum level. And this is the first thing. The second element, I would say that we need to rethink all the materials, the local elements in a specific location. You know, for many decades, architects thought that good design is international. This is not correct. Wellness design, it's locally based. We need to study what is the best material, locally produced, locally manufactured, locally constructed. So every single location developed in the years specific technologies to create venues, to create technology, maybe natural technology. So this is another element that is completely become important. The third, I would say, what I call the emptiness design. We in the spa, we need to create spaces in which it's possible to recombine mind and soul. Is it a spiritual venues that we are talking? Yes, probably. We are talking about a new religion. Probably it's not a religion; it's a secular religion. But it's a demand, and probably we need to rethink all the path inside our spa. People really is looking for some places in which it's possible to go into another level. Body is good, but mind and soul are become, after the COVID especially, more important. And so let's say that the spa in the future will be more a temple for the spirit and mind. Body will be the third part, not the first. This is my consideration.
And from my point of view, I'd say I think it's really important that hotels realise they need to employ someone like Alberto. And thank you for not mentioning the result last night. That's very magnanimous of you, but congratulations. But, you know, I mean, basically, normally so many hotels just get the hotel architect to design the spa. Often they never go to a spa. They don't know anything. They don't even like spas. This is crazy. You've got to get specialists to do the spa design, because, you know, so often I'll go into a spa and it's so badly designed that the therapists and the team have to work against architecture that is just not designed to aid them. You know, even really simple things like you have to walk out of the changing room past reception to get to the swimming pool, when, you know, obviously you shouldn't have to see civilians once you've got that bathrobe on. And just really easy, simple things like that don't happen unless you get an expert like Alberto to do the spa design. It's not another bit of your building. It's a separate building that needs separate consideration.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you talk about this problem, because from my side it's obvious, but you know, sometimes spa have been designed by architect that, you know, it's a ego exercise, not something for people. And creating wellness, it's another thing, another story. We spa designer must put a step back and keep wellness philosophy comes out. Then we need architecture, but only in a second moment.
I think they think of it as a photo opportunity, and you know what we really don't need is another bowl of green apples, you know, and that's sort of what we get when you get just a normal, not normal, you know, a standard conventional architect to do it instead of a specialist.
Yeah,
completely agree. And I think it's quite frightening when you have a look around the world and you realize how many major hotel companies still have that kind of philosophy where, okay, well, let's just take 4 of our standard guest rooms away and convert it into a spa. I hopefully, you know, one thing that people have learned during the past couple of months and years is that a spa is not only what happens within the walls of a spa. You know, when Alberto talks about integrating external areas and internal areas, you know, if we can get more hotel companies to think how wellness programming is not always in the spa, you know, it happens throughout the whole resort, then that is one positive move. But also to have hotels recognize, like my employer Successors do, that your spa is a key attraction to your resort. You know, to put it in the center, to put it in the front, to put it as important as F&B, because then you're going to really make sure that you're able to deliver wellness to your guests.
Yeah.
And on the topic of wellness, it in some ways is intertwined with this idea of luxury, perceptions of luxury, that is really personalized, it's bespoke. So with all these new elements and components that we've just been discussing, how is this redefining ideas of what you might call classic luxury or traditional luxury?
Well, luxury is a tricky word. I really don't like the word luxury. I think COVID shows that luxury today is to be and look healthy. This is the real luxury. So it means that spa as a role to create wellness, but at the same time we need to teach how to live healthier. This is another trend, I think. So probably in the future we'll see some spa that incorporate some kind of schools, classrooms, or academy, because clients want to live healthier. In that week, in the 15 days they stay in the hotel or in the spa, but they want to bring wellness at home. So how to do it? We need to teach them. This is really luxury. Luxury means a way to live healthier. All the other things are just options or optionals. So I think really luxury today is the capacity of a hotel chains or a wellness or a spa to create a lasting story in the client that will create it could be also a dependence, but also an addicted to wellness. But it's a great challenge to create a lasting wellness experience. A lot of brands probably in the future will try to do this. It's a marketing task, and also it's let me say that wellness and spa as a social role, not only an economic role. So probably we need also to push this concept, and so teach to our client how to live healthier. This is the real luxury today.
I find it very interesting when you look back maybe 20 years or 30 years before. Yep, I'm old enough. And before, when you went and had a luxury holiday, you ate whatever you wanted, you drank, you partied, you go home exhausted because you've lived such a heavy, hard-going life. Whereas, well, not life, but your vacation. Whereas now when you go back home and you feel that almost by default, you're more energetic, you're revived, you're re-energized. That is the luxury. Because if you can go on a holiday and do what you would love to do and that you acknowledge as fun, but you introduce to doing the right direction of what you enjoyed and under a wellness umbrella, you go home feeling like you've had a holiday. Where 20, 30 years ago, you came home and you needed to go on a holiday after a holiday.
Yeah.
But now you go home feeling great because you've had wellness introduced to your body and your mind.
But I think that's partly because spas wanted to make it a mystery that you couldn't do it at home. You have to come to us to do it. And now it's gone full circle to, we're going to tell you how to do this at home. And sort of sincerity is the new luxury, where you give your secrets because you're trusting and you're sharing. You know that people will come back because it's working. It doesn't, if it works for a week, it's nothing. I mean, the amount of people who say to me, I know this great detox camp, I've lost so much weight there, and you're looking at them, and I'm not being rude, but they're overweight. But every year they go, they lose 10 pounds, and they gradually put it back on again. That's an insincere transaction. And I mean, spas have to stop becoming sincere. Trust in their guests, trust in the loyalty of someone when you really create something that is generous and positive and practical for them to incorporate in their life, not make it all hushed, you know, scented candles and whispering and, you know, weird words and Sanskrit words. Let's just talk about it in English so that everyone can understand. It's not a mystery, it's part of our lives.
Yeah, imagine simply, you know, the chance to learn how to cook healthier, you know, cooking class. Why we need to incorporate in the wellness concept. So it could be a great opportunity to create. We need to be very creative, but you know, the didactic aspect of a spa should be more important than today, and I think it will be.
I mean,
a bit more fun. I mean, you know, to quote the Joker, why so serious? You know, I mean, if things are fun, you're more likely to remember them, you're more likely to do them. And we've got to stop talking about wellness like it's something apart from our lives. It's just a part of our lives like anything else we do, and we might as well make it fun, and we can. There's no need for it to be in white coats.
something that I've seen a lot of is these virtual programs, you know, or what you ways that you can stream like a fitness program up into your hotel room, or, you know, some people are even shifting the equipment from the gym into people's hotel rooms. But there's now apps and all sorts of things that you can download. Was it Hayat who partnered with the sleep? It was a mindfulness app, which they can now offer their guests. So we are moving to a, well, we've seen the mass adoption of technology almost everywhere, but within a hotel, it's perhaps been greatly seen in F&B and how people have been using the QR codes and they can now get room service. But what about adding technology in the spa? And Susan, do you think that guests are going to come to expect technology within the spa?
I think the spa is slightly different from other aspects of the hotel. You're looking for nurturing, so you're probably more interested in having a bit of a one-to-one, talking to someone. I mean, who wants to put in information about, you know, private matters into an app? You know, you'd want to speak to somebody, you know, there's some things that are a bit sensitive. And you can't even do, I mean, spas have always had their menus online. But really, because you can't just book it like you book a table at a restaurant and then send through your order, because you need to have certain facilities. It's not just a treatment room. Treatment rooms have different facilities, so it's not as simple as that. You need to make sure you've got the therapist on who can do Reiki or Watsu. So it's not as simple as just ordering up food. And while there's definitely a place for apps, you know, I think spas and retreats have to be very careful about how they use them, because they need to make it more experiential. And often they're trying to get people not to be using their phones and not to be on digital devices. So there's obviously a little bit of a contradiction in terms there. But I mean, actually the virtual platform, and it's something that Six Senses did do really well very quickly during the first lockdown, was, you know, this is an amazing way to keep in contact with your guest by, I mean, one of the things I've always been really, really critical about is there's so little post-stay support. And you really need that in the month after you return home, because otherwise all those good intentions, I mean, it's January the 6th all over again. So I think it's great if hotels and spas, and this is the generosity of the new luxury, actually say, right, once a week, we're going to do a little group where anyone who's been and done a retreat or done, you know, interested in the spa can come on, we can talk together, we can talk about what's happening and devote a bit of extra time. You know, it's something that everyone's so used to doing now, they could definitely do that. But I don't think that spas should necessarily, especially sort of resort spas, should invest very heavily in high-tech, you know, apps that tell you, you know, how long you've slept and this, that, and the other, unless they have really invested in training as well. because otherwise it's a gimmick. And I can't tell you how many times I've had these incredibly, you know, like detailed consultations beforehand, which you just don't even have the time for, you know, but you make the time and then you get there, nobody's looked at them. I mean, they just never look, you know, so rarely do they really look at them. You just but then apart from that, when you're there, then you do undergo all these other tests and they just say, well, drink a bit more water and, you know, don't eat sugary things. You know, I mean, there's nobody there who can really interpret that information for you. If I'm already in the green zone, how can I get myself further up the green zone? Don't just say, well, you're fine then, because I've come here to improve. So I think spas, a lot of spas can get a bit lazy about thinking, well, we've told them this, we've done it, but it isn't. You need personalized advice to make whatever you know, sort of readings you're giving those people valuable to them going forward, not just for the 5 days that they're staying.
And there's a couple of points, if I can just quickly add on what Susan's been talking about. Completely agree. You know, high tech, it depends on how you use it. For our guests at Successor, we know they love high touch. But to have a biohacking lounge is perfect, because then you can have massage guns and pneumatic boots and all this kind of equipment for guests who would prefer to not have high touch. And when it comes to, you know, you've come to a resort or a hotel and you become inspired to eat correctly and do everything correctly, and you go home feeling wonderful. For our company, it's been very difficult to get the guests to continue. What we believe we can do is we can keep them inspired. We can recommend that they exercise or that they eat correctly and how they can eat. So by creating our online platform, which is called At Home with Successors, that way we can have master classes and we can have a whole range of lectures and things happening, so that it reminds the guests of how they felt when they were at your resort and how they can get back on track and keep going. I mean, obviously we want them to come back to have the full experience as often as they can. And what we're launching now is our urban locations that are called Successor Place. And those are health clubs, spas, like WeWork areas, biohacking lounges, everything. And the first one will open in New York and London by the end of next year. But that way, at least, you know, people can still stay in touch, because it has to be pretty large in order to keep the programming going. So that, you know, we're looking at doing it through our web. And that's why we believe we're going high tech, is that we're able to stay in contact with our guests and then open as many as we can urban environments.
And Kent, whilst we're talking about this, we're looking at programs and how health and fitness plays into designing that program. Do you therefore think that that virtual element is going to be adopted by other hotels and other hotel brands? Is that the future? I mean, how are these treatments and programs going to improve and enhance?
Well, I'm sure as the wellness tourist is growing, you know, the more popular, but whole concept, and how there's more and more wellness tourism options becoming available, it will become a very competitive market. And I really believe that maybe not the traditional hotels like we know them will just become wellness focused, but they'll open different brands. You know how you see nowadays that you might have a traditional hotel open a wellness brand, because it has become an expectation from many people. If we go back to what I was saying earlier, how before you need a holiday after having a holiday, who wouldn't prefer to return home feeling great and energized? And it really isn't difficult in the programming. You know, if you look at all the virtual offerings that are available, and if I look at what we have in Successors at Home, is you can incorporate it into everything you do. So one example, what we've done is we don't expect a guest to know exactly what they want when they come into our hotel or resort, but we're there to help guide them as deeply as we can through that wellness journey. They may think all they need to have is a thorough, hard body massage, and that's going to keep them running for 2 weeks. But if we can show the guest that we can help them improve their whole way of life, then we've really done our job. So what we do is we offer 3 key programs. One is Boost Your Immunity, one is Love Your Heart, and one is Mind Your Brain. And those cover the different categories that we believe a guest will want. You know, Boost Your Immunity will incorporate fitness and spa treatments and eating correctly. Love Your Heart will be a lot more of reflection and journalism and, you know, overcoming any kind of baggage that you're carrying. And Mind Your Brain would be, you know, if you've got that brain fog and you really need to get renewed focus. And then we can personalize in those categories to incorporate all the wellness information that's out there, because it is a wellness jungle. You know, so much material available. So by identifying exactly what the guest wants, exposing them to what is available virtually, and then devising a program for that guest that will be right for them to handle whilst they're in your resort and when they go home, and how you can keep them engaged while they're at home. I really believe that is the way most hotels will go.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kent.
They go that way, but it involves real investment in training, and I know Six Senses will do that. But I'm sure the bigger brands will just want to sort of do a wellness wash over it rather than really make that commitment.
Well, I feel as it becomes more competitive, you know, they'll probably want a piece of the action. Hopefully not, but hopefully for the guest, yes.
As a result, we might see, you know, larger wellness accreditation schemes coming into play, and that's not necessarily just for the guests either, but how you are looking after your teams. I mean, hospitality staff have had a shocker of a ride this year, and I know that recruitment at the moment is a really tough dig, but I'd like to look at the wellness and the well-being of our teams. You know, these are the guys who are delivering this to our guests at the end of the day. And I'd like to come to Lesley and ask Lesley, what role does well-being play in taking care of your team, and has it changed as a result of the pandemic?
Yeah, Eloise, I mean, I think it's interesting. I think we would always say, yes, it's been a part, but I think absolutely in this last year where people have been furloughed in the UK, people have been furloughed, you know, on and off a number of times maybe, that we've really been mindful that bringing people back into work, you have to gradually ease them back in. It's, you know, it's very busy quickly, we found this time. But we've been very aware of how much business we'll take in at one time. We've definitely done a lot of back to work coaching with our teams. They've got online learning that tells them more about how it will be when they come back. Our senior team have been on mental health awareness first aid courses, because I think there is more anxiety out there. There are more questions, you know, knowing the signs, what to pick up on. Not everybody's going to say something. You're making sure that you're aware of that kind of body language. We're very lucky. I've mentioned that we have beautiful grounds where we work, so we very much encourage our teams we have increased that turnaround time. When they have lunch break, we want them to go out for a walk and then come back and have their lunch. We do mindfulness walks, we've done meditation with our teams. We've really tried to, like you say, we've touched on it earlier, that being healthy is so important now. I think we have all been out walking a lot in this last year through rain or shine, and we've all felt the benefits from that. And I think that's something we really want to encourage, not just our health club and spa teams, but our housekeeping teams, our chefs, that, you know, this is available for you, that the space is there. We can create the time. We want you to be well. And we want you to talk to each other. And I think a lot of us have been disconnected. You know, we're hospitality is very much, you're busy, you're with a lot of people all the time, and then suddenly being furloughed at home, you might not have seen your friends, you might not have much connection, people are quite lonely. So we've done a lot along the way to stay in touch with people, but I think now they're back as teams. It's important that we start to build that in, but slowly, so that we're not doing too many huge group things, but we will do a lot. At the moment, we're very lucky the weather is good, so we can take people out, and we've got some really great activities that we're doing with our teams just to re-engage them together. Not just all go on a walk in one team, but, you know, hey, let's have a chef and a housekeeper and a receptionist and a spa person, and let's go out and chat and walk at the same time. So yeah, I think it's here to stay. You know, we've done yoga. I think in you know, long time ago, everybody poo-pooed yoga, and now I think people are really realizing the benefit of yoga. A lot of people did online yoga through this last year, and I think people have really understood that actually that's great. I feel good when I do it. It's calmed me down. I feel strong. If you do a good work yoga class, you know how much of a workout it is. And those are things that you don't need a huge space, and you can do that in a conference room. You don't have to have big space. So I think, you know, it's just really looking at what you've got and making sure that you do spend time with your team. We're definitely spending a lot more time with our team.
I think that human connection and re-engaging is going to be paramount, especially obviously we're yet to have restrictions fully lift here in the UK. What, you know, many hotels are probably anticipating, or they should hope, for a busy summer. I was speaking to a hotelier in London, and he mentioned that there was one hotel that had a spa, and they've been incredibly busy because there's such demand for it. People want to get out, they want to get back. I joked earlier that I can't wait for a spa break, and I can't.
Our bookings are really, really good, really strong. You know, definitely people want to go back to spa. That is undoubtedly what we are seeing. We are seeing very, very strong bookings, and I've just actually come off a call with some of my UK colleagues that run other hotel chains in the UK and some private individual hotels, and everybody's saying the same thing, which is great. It's great for our side of the business, but it's also, you know, recruitment and getting people back into the industry, and actually, you know, just shining the light on the fact that spa is an amazing career. And there's a lot of us in the UK are working together. And Kent, I know you've been on these panels as well, where just trying to promote what an amazing industry it is to come and work in. And you know, that it opens up the world to you, and it's not something that should be just discarded as a career for somebody that hasn't really done very well at school, because that's just so not the case. These are really skilled individuals, and they've got a fantastic opportunity. But we need more people coming into the industry.
Yeah.
There was one point that Lesley made that I think was such an important point, and that was how, you know, if you only look about looking after your spa team, they're already kind of converted. But you mentioned bringing the chef in and bringing other people into your host welfare programs. I know ours is called Mission Wellness, but in making sure that every part of our hotel is geared towards wellness, for their own wellness, then you really start having a positive impact on your guests as well. You know, we can't work in a silo because we know the benefit. We have to take it through the whole resort, the whole hotel.
And we are quickly coming to the end of our hour, and I'm always surprised as to how quickly these sessions do go by. But I would like to finish up with a question to Susan about wellness trends. And what trends do you expect to surge in the next year when we're back to some kind of normality?
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll be back to some kind of normality soon. I think, obviously, as Kent touched on, your microbiome and building up, or balancing your immunity, making sure that you are nutritionally doing as much as you possibly can to stay fit and healthy is going to be really important. Also mental resilience. I think though there's a real opportunity, because there's this huge new market of people who think that spas are all about knitted lentils and wouldn't ever go to one, but they are now, their interest in wellness has peaked. So it's like we need to, peaked as in P-I-Q-U-E-D, but we need to make it go peaked as in P-E-A-K-E-D, by actually using language that is going to make them feel included. And for a lot of these people, words like meditation and mindfulness, they're just killers. I mean, you know, they're not interested. So I think it's a really, really big opportunity when people are coming in for a massage to talk to them, but in a different kind of language that's more inclusive and less threatening to someone who is scared of wellness with a capital W. And they're the new market. They're the market that weren't looking before, that are looking now for somewhere they can go. So I think it's really important to make sure they feel wanted and understood and respected as to the fact that they want more science-based. They don't want to hear about chakras and doshas. They want to feel that that their life raft is fact. So, you know, if we can sort of bring in a new terminology that's a little bit less daunting for people who are outside the sort of conventional wellness area, that would be good. More experiential sparring. So I think, as Alberto said, you know, taking it outdoors, looking at things that might not be seen as a spa experience, but making it a spa experience. So regenerative travel is a really big new trend. And if you take your guests to do a football match with the local kids, and then they sponsor a prize or something, that's, you know, that's giving back. It's exercise, it's connection to the local community. It's magical to have that sort of, you know, sort of it's very leveling for everybody. So it's a sort of real coming together with the community. And I think sparring, taking it out into the community is going to be really important to sort of get those connections. And things like breath work, which you can take home, which is, you know, free once you've been taught how to do it properly. It's such, once you get hooked on breath work, you just love it so much, but you'll still go, you know, I think spas have got to be confident that people will still come back, because they'll come back to somewhere they've had a positive experience. So give your secrets away, and you'll get that loyalty, because you'll get that trust and that appreciation and that wow moment. So I think there needs to be more trust on both sides. Things like sound therapy is huge. Psychedelics, you know, CBD and shroom, they're all going to get much bigger, and they are really great ways for spas to sort of open up to a bigger market, because somebody who isn't interested in Ayurveda may come and do a CBD treatment, and then you can start just filtering in how amazing Ayurveda or TCM is, and how so much of modern medicine is actually chimes with exactly what they were saying, because it's intuitive. And that's another big trend, more intuitive wellness, where you're getting people to listen to their bodies, which we've spent, you know, the last 5 decades ignoring. So getting us to come back in and use our intuition will also become really important. But it's doing it with imagination, but layering it with practical, you know, practical results, because at the end of the day, results are what people are going to measure your success by. So they have to see something happening reasonably quickly.
And if I can add, don't forget that neuroscience as really going into this direction. You know, we got a huge quantity of new studies coming from different part of the world, different university, that can translate into science what wellness world already done, you know, not scientifically, but maybe sometime too emotionally. But probably one really good step could be to engage neuroscientists into the wellness new concept. This could be a great challenge to, you know, to integrate science, real science, into wellness world. And it's a good challenge. And I know for sure that there's a lot of new scientists, neuroscientists, and there's a group of scientists, of scientific world is really looking at our world, because they see they got something to learn, and we at the same time we have a lot to to learn by them. So it could be a very good challenge.
Well, it certainly looks that brighter times are ahead, and I, for one, am going to look forward to reporting on it. But that does tie up our session for today. Thank you so much. I've just got a few outro slides to run through before we close off. My next webinar in the Trailblazer series is happening on August the 2nd. It's called Appealing to the Chinese Traveller, and the link to register is being posted in the chat. And we have the Urban Living Festival, our flagship event, on the 26th and 27th of October at Tobacco Dock in London, in person this year, and it's going to cover a variety of different hospitality and real estate asset classes. And in the run-up to the festival, what we've done at IHM is launched a series of webinars to offer a preview of what to expect. And here is our latest video showing what we've been up to this year.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon. Hello, everybody.
And welcome to the Trailblazer
Service Department News,
Rockstars,
Urban Living Light,
Engage,
Urban Living webinar series.
I think you have to tell the right story to the right people via the right people is really, really key, in the right place.
Because we are all in the same, in the same boat. We want to make this work.
When you take away that personal contact, it's a problem.
Through the concept development, through the architecture, through the design, through the experience.
So although it's a growing sector, there's still huge scope for it to evolve even further.
And if you would like to hear more either about the festival or how to get involved in our webinars, please do contact my colleague Katie. Her details are up on your screen now, and I believe her LinkedIn profile has also been popped into the chat. But that is a wrap from me and from all of us. Thank you to our Trailblazers for the insightful discussion. Thank you to Cvent, and thank you to our audience for tuning in. All the LinkedIn profiles of our Trailblazers are in the chat. Please do carry on the conversation, and I will see you in 3 weeks' time. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.